old line pagoda, looking eastward to the
This is the story of the Dodge Power Wagon, one of those surprising and unexpected stories growing out of the war, where machines as well as men turned in records of such remarkable accomplishment. Hundreds of letters came to Detroit from homecoming GIs asking for a civilian crack at those military cars that would go anywhere, whether there was road or not. So engineers at Dodge made a decision. They took the same powerful motor and the same near-indestructible chassis of their war trucks, redesigned the body to civilian lines, added a comfortable, deep-cushioned cab, and called the unit Power Wagon. They had no vision and very little expectation of how the truck would fit civilian needs. It was a Dodge experiment, but it was felt something might happen, and something did. From Florida to the Pacific Northwest, from Maine to California, from New Orleans to Chicago, and from the deserts of the Southwest to the wooded hills of New England, wherever there was a job that ordinary trucks had failed in, men with imagination began to say, maybe a power wagon will do the job. And it did, time after time. Thus was born the now nearly legendary saying, a power wagon can do anything. It'll milk your cows or move your mountains. It was then that Dodge men in Detroit began to get the real vision. Go out and see what people are doing with the power wagon, they told us, and take your cameras with you. So we went. And this film is a story of what we saw. First, however, you must remember, the Power Wagon was a war baby. You recall the beginning, that day in the Pacific, December 7th, 1941. It was war. The Army called in top men from Dodge. We need trucks that can carry men, supplies, and weapons wherever they need to go, the Army officer said. There may be no roads. And certainly there will be all kinds of obstacles, from exploding bombs to the muck, sand, mire, and mountains that nature and geography will throw at us. But the trucks must still keep going. That was the order, an Army order. The specifications were in, but the answers were still to be found, and the job of building such vehicles still to be done. Dodge went to work, and over the factory and testing ground, the engineers and the mechanics, the test drivers and the production chiefs, the laboratories and the blueprint tapes. The sound of battle hung in the air. Vehicles that'll do anything, go anywhere, be too tough to stop or stall. Trucks, trucks, trucks. Those words seemed a part of the explosions and the roar of the guns. For many months, you remember, the Allies fought a defensive war. We'd been caught flat-footed, and it took time to marshal our offensive strength. But American boys were tough, and so were their guns. Their marksmanship was excellent, and they used well the material they had at hand. It was just enough to keep them hanging on until the real force of American production could arrive. And finally, Dodge trucks began to roll. They turned in prodigious records of work, power, and ability to get through. Still, at home, test ground operations went forward day and night. These units were given the most punishing kind of treatment. Mud, water, torturous heat, sand, dust, and rough ground. Nothing except being blasted apart could stop them for very long. This was war, and only the fit could survive. The fit among men and the fit among machines. And these Dodge trucks were fit. and the forces of right finally turned the tide for us. Hitler's end, Mussolini's fall, and the Japanese surrender all became history. No longer were armor and bullets the great need, but trucks that could go anywhere, do anything, still looked good to the men coming home to tackle the tough jobs of U.S. home competition. Those letters began arriving daily in Detroit. How about a truck like the one I drove to Bastogne? How can I get a four-wheel drive truck like the one we used as an ambulance? How soon can I buy? And so they went. The die was cast, and at Dodge, the dies were ready. Dodge trucks of war became the power wagons of peace. Men's imaginations turned from destruction to construction. And as men's imaginations went, so went the power wagon. This was where we left Detroit with our cameras. Our first stop seemed somehow not unlike the wartime push. At least there is urgency and desperation here. The Mississippi is on a rampage, and power wagons of the U.S. Army Engineering Corps are right at home, fighting. This time it is Old Man River, not the Nazis or the Japs. Here the fight is with mud as well as water, and the power wagon we are with hardly hesitates. It pushes right on through. The levee patrol chief is on the job too. There is 24-hour vigilance, for a break would mean disaster. Vigilance is the great need here. Vigilance and an army of workers with sandbags. Here is a place that needs attention immediately, the beginnings of a break. And down on this side of the levee is the danger spot, a spongy mass where seepwater from above is beginning already to come to the surface. But the army of workers and the sandbags are not far behind. You have only to be here to sense the grim tenseness in the atmosphere, an air of expectancy as if any moment might bring sudden emergency, news of a break somewhere along the many miles of levee. But there is a certain sense of assurance, too, born of years of experience with the river. It can be tamed, but you have to watch it. Keep it under tight rein, something like keeping a headstrong, determined child in check. You can't afford to give either one an inch of advantage. So vigilance and work go on. People, homes, and farms are here to be protected from tragedy and ruin. Florida is our second stop, and soon we're out in the orange groves to watch the picking and the hauling. Florida is famous for many things, certainly her citrus crops. The harvest each year runs into millions of dollars. Experienced pickers are handling the fruit, and a large group of them work together in one area of the orchard, each man picking all the fruit on one tree. He's paid by the number of boxes he picks. So by taking an entire tree, he can boost his average by picking rapidly on the ground, making up what he loses in time by having to climb a ladder. This way, it's a fair shake for everybody. The orchard soil is very sandy. Plowing through it with trucks to gather up the boxes of fruit or to spray the rows of trees has always been an irritating and expensive problem. We were always replacing broken gears and drive shafts, one owner told us. Starting, stopping, making sharp turns around trees in this sand tears the insides right out of a truck. So the owner found his answer. Spraying equipment in the regular power wagon bed. A special low platform body on the power wagon chassis for fruit pickup. The broken gear bugaboo was licked. Four-wheel driving power for the orchard sand and 55-mile-an-hour conventional two-wheel drive speed on the highway between orchard and packing house. No wonder the power wagon idea is spreading in these citrus orchards of Florida. Throughout this whole area of the Deep South, from the Atlantic coast to the Mississippi River, are found great spreads of soft pine forest furnishing pulpwood, turpentine and resin to commercial industry for the thousands of uses to which these products are put. These pine forests are constantly patrolled to ensure them, as far as possible, against their greatest enemy, fire. In spite of the care and money spent, thousands of acres are burned out every year, and additional money is budgeted to reseed the burned out areas. If there are plenty of seed trees nearby, nature and the wind take care of the reseeding automatically. But where seed-bearing trees are too distant, the nature process would take too long. So the work is done by men, setting out seedlings in ground previously plowed and made ready. The seedlings will grow to usable trees in approximately 10 years. So fire is a costly thing, as these years of time are lost, as well as the young trees which go up in smoke. We visit several of these forest areas to see the work go on, and we find power wagons in constant use because of their ability to get over ground where less rugged and less powerful vehicles would be absolutely impractical. Perhaps the most important work in these forests assigned to the power wagon is patrol duty and actual firefighting. Such work goes forward constantly, both on industry-owned properties and in tracts owned by individual states. Here we ride out with a forestry division head to review the work done on one of these big tracks. Their power wagons are radio-equipped. Firefighting apparatus, including a large tank of water with power pump takeoff from the motor, is also a part of each unit. Here it is explained to us that the great damage done by fire is not to the larger trees, but to the younger ones, especially the seedlings just coming through the grass and leaves. The fast-moving flames destroy these seedlings completely. One of the most widely used implements in grass fire combat is this fire plough attached to a power wagon. The speed and ability of the wagon to get over rough ground makes the plow most effective. It is used everywhere, north, south, east, west, wherever the danger of fire is present. And now we get a first-hand demonstration of why forestry patrol crews swear by power wagons. We're dubious about the truck getting through here, but these boys show no hesitancy. They plunge right in, and we soon understand why they aren't worried. With all four wheels spinning, the men just reach down, so to speak, and pull themselves out by their own bootstraps. It's almost that simple with the power winch. From the time the truck stops, hopelessly stuck, so far as conventional driving power is concerned, until we're out and on our way again, is less than 5 minutes. As long as you can find a place to fasten that cable, and there are 225 feet of it, you can't stay stuck with a power wagon.